Hello and welcome to News Across Nigeria. I'm Olumide Macaulay. On the program today, reactions greet federal government's raise in petroleum pump price as petrol stations across the country begin sales at 145 naira per litre. Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority explains reasons for the ban on unauthorized use of drones. And the Oyo State government weeds out over 16,000 ghost workers. We begin with President Muhammadu Buhari's quest to fight corruption. The British Prime Minister David Cameron has opened the Anti-Corruption Summit in London with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari and U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry saying corruption is a scourge that needs to be eradicated. Mr. Cameron promised to set up a public register to show who owns property in Britain in an effort to stop stolen funds being laundered through London's property market.
First of all, why I think this matters so much is that I believe that corruption is the cancer at the heart of so many problems we need to tackle in our world. I think we are making some real progress at this summit. There's a very clear declaration you can read where world leaders and countries are coming together with a very clear declaration. There's a communique of a whole set of actions, and crucially there's country-by-country commitments that countries are making to tackle the issues of corruption that people will be able to check up on and report back on.
As a result, Nigeria is calling on this summit to create an anti-corruption infrastructure and a strategic action plan that will include the monitoring, tracing, and facilitating the recovery of stolen funds and assets hidden in secret accounts abroad.
Corruption writ large is as much of an enemy because it destroys nation states as some of the extremists we're fighting or some of the other challenges that we have faced. Now, some people may say, oh, that's hogwash. How can that be? Corruption tears at the entire fabric of a society. I have found as Secretary of State, I'll just be very blunt with you, I've been shocked by the degree to which I find corruption pandemic in the world today. And the extremism that we see in the world today comes to no small degree from the utter exasperation that people have with the sense that the system is rigged. And we see this anger manifesting itself in different forms in elections around the world, including ours. People are angry, and the anger is going to grow unless we shut the doors and try to prove to people there's a fairness that can be established in the system.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. Meanwhile, the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, is seeking the assistance of UK authorities to extradite Nigeria's former petroleum minister, Mrs. Dezani Alison Madueke, to face charges of corruption and money laundering. The body argues the charges she is currently facing in the courts in the UK do not sufficiently capture the gravity of her alleged crime and the increasing allegations of corruption against her in Nigeria. The request comes after an announcement by the Central Bank of Nigeria that it was carrying out special investigations into the roles played by banks in certain financial transactions, especially the 23 billion naira reportedly shared to INEC officials by members of former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration to influence the outcome of the 2015 general elections. In the statement, SERAP explains that the Anti-Corruption Summit in London provides an opportunity for the UK government to support the ongoing fight against corruption in Nigeria and to send a powerful message that the UK will not provide sanctuary for corrupt public officials. The group also insists that by sending Mrs. Alison Madueke back to Nigeria, the UK will be sending a signal that high-level official corruption will not go unpunished no matter where the suspect hides, and thus contribute to the fight against impunity. To other news, and this affects the oil and gas sector in Nigeria and all the Nigerian states, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Ibe Kachiku, has defended the increase in the pump price of petrol by the federal government from 86 naira 50 kobo to 145 naira per litre. Mr. Kachiku says marketers have also not been told how much to sell their product, although it will be pegged at 135 naira per litre at outlets run by the NNPC. He adds that the lifting of the petrol price should not be a basis to provide palliatives, as that's already provided for in the 2016 budget.
What we've done is an upper cap. We have not told anybody what price to sell. We expect that efficiencies will force people to determine their prices. You know, we had a price band of 135 to 145, but the reality is that those are guideline prices. It's going to depend on how much you find your FX for, how efficient you are, how invested you are through the whole entire chain of the business, because if you are invested in the tankage, in the importation, in the distribution, in the logistics, you have greater efficiency, and those will impact your prices. As we go into the hinterlands, NNPC stations will be hoping to head towards more of 135 naira than the 145 naira band. How did we come to the price of 145? It's a simple conversion of using foreign exchange at 285. That 285 is from nowhere. It's basically the secondary source that people buy products from, buy FX from, versus the 320, which is black market. If you convert it and throw it in, you get about 141, 142, or 143. And so there isn't much of palliative elements left there for you to use. It's simply go out, find your product, your cost is covered, there's an opportunity if you're efficient to make money, come and deliver. It is not the lifting of petroleum pricing that should be the basis in which government provides a palliative. Government has a responsibility to provide social palliatives in an ordinary course of running the day-to-day administration of a government. And they're doing that. And if you look at 2016 budget, there are loads and loads of such palliatives. We ensure that our DSDP program will continue to provide product. I think our calculation is, for example, we're doing about 25 to 26 cargoes out of the monthly requirement in terms of fuel consumption, imported fuel consumption of about 33 to 34 cargoes. So we'll say about 70% of that will still continue to come. However, probably only about 20 or 30% of that portion will be required by NNPC in its own actual filling stations, and the rest will sold out into the market, so that those Nigerians who can't even find foreign exchange can buy on a Naira bulk basis and begin to distribute. As difficult as some of these sale programs will be, our duty is to ensure that at the end of the day we deliver value, and we mean well, and Nigerians should please trust us. Give us a chance, you'll be surprised what will become of your PMS pricing over the next 6 to 8 months.
Mr. Ibe Kachiku, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. Understandably, this has generated reactions. Nigerians have been talking about the new pump price of premium motor spirit, as petrol stations across the country have begun selling at the new price. Our correspondents in Imo State, Ogun State, Plateau, and Kaduna states went to town to feel the pulse of motorists.
I was surprised when I heard of that new price. All the while, I was thinking that we will have the price lesser than what we have been buying it before. But when it was announced that it's now 145, I was actually surprised that the price has to go up.
It's not a welcome development because we're the consumers. Because the federal government, they will just enter the filling station and buy and go. And it's with our tax they will buy the fuel. So we are the one who labor for it. So and we have the fuel in our country. So what we deserve in this country is to get the fuel lower price.
Before the official announcement, some petrol stations right here in Owerri were already selling 130, 120, which means it was coming down. So for us now to hear officially 145, we need some explanations.
Application of this agreement is very difficult for ordinary Nigerians because people are suffering.
These people will continue to do this to us, and we are also complying as if life must go on. And life is not going on. All of us are borrowing from one place to another to survive. and we're actually not surviving anyway.
You're watching news across Nigeria, and the Nigeria Labour Congress has also been reacting to that new pump price. They've called it astronomical, an 80% increase, which depends on black market prices, and they've asked the federal government to revert the pump price of petrol from 145 naira as it stands today back to 86 naira 50 kobo per litre. They say they're going to take an official position after a meeting convened on May the 13th to come up where they'll be discussing the next line of action to be taken concerning this most recent move by the federal government to increase the pump price of premium motor spirit. You're watching news across Nigeria. When we come back, the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority and the ban on unauthorized use of aerial unmanned systems, otherwise known as drones. Please stay with us.